So one of the most common misconceptions I'm hearing right now is that houses are way too expensive and that it's better for me to rent for a while and just wait and see if this market calms down, wait for interest rates to go back down, and wait for home prices to go back down. Not only is this way of thinking wrong, it can be severely harmful long-term to your financial health. In Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which is where I live, the average rent right now is $1,187 per month. So the question becomes, should I use that $1,187 to buy a house or rent a house? Before we dig into those numbers, we should talk about a general concept called inflation. Inflation is the gradual increase of prices over time, and it also refers to a gradual fall in the purchasing power of money. So let's look at the impact of inflation over time as a function of a mortgage payment versus a rent payment. The mortgage payment, as you can see, starts at $1,187, but check out what it does by the end of the 30-year contract. It will feel like $540 per month. Whereas a rent over that same period of time, rent starts at $1,187 and it goes up to roughly $2,553. That's given a 2.6% rate of inflation over time, which is actually pretty conservative. Because the mortgage payment is fixed for the entire 30-year contract of the loan, it'll feel like it's easier and easier to pay over time. Rent has the exact opposite effect. So the second part of this is, once I've saved up some down payment money to buy a house, should I really use that to buy a house for a down payment, or should I look at investing that money in the stock market? To understand the potential impact of that $8,100, we first have to visit a term called appreciation. Similar to inflation, but a little bit different. Appreciation is going to be the increase of monetary value over time on your assets. So basically, once you buy a house, how does that property value increase over time? While it's absolutely true that as interest rates rise and as home values rise, homes become less affordable, the main tenets of owning a house versus renting still come into play. Long term, you can see that the appreciation rate of 3%, which has been the historical average, would make that $180,000 property worth $463,900 at the end of that mortgage contract in 2052. So if you were to continue to rent and take that $8,100 and invest that in the stock market, given a rate of return of 10.5%, which is what the S&P 500 has averaged since its inception in 1957, you'd do very well. At the end of the 30-year term, you would have amassed over $160,000. But if instead you use that $8,100 to purchase a home as a down payment, at the end of 30 years, you will have amassed a property that's worth over $460,000, which means you have essentially turned your $8,100 into $463,900. It's important to remember that the day-to-day gyrations of the interest rate market or what the day-to-day housing prices are doing really have no direct impact on the seismic forces of inflation and appreciation. Inflation and appreciation, if you own a home, those are on your side regardless. So if you're financially ready, if you've done all the work and you're in a position where you're considering buying a house, go with the long view. Go ahead and get the process started.